Welcome to this explainer. What if I told you that one tiny, seemingly harmless English mistake could literally instantly reveal that you aren't a native speaker? Well, it's absolutely true. Today, we're diving straight into how these sneaky little slips happen and exactly how you can fix them to sound completely natural. Let's get into it. So, what exactly reveals your accent? Look, you might have studied English for years, watched countless movies, and maybe you even understand almost everything you hear. But here's the really fascinating reality. A few small errors can still slip right through the cracks and make your spoken English sound just a bit unnatural to native ears. And the craziest part? Even highly advanced English learners make these exact mistakes every single day. So today, we're going to diagnose your fluency. We're looking at 7 really common mistakes that advanced learners consistently make and exactly what native speakers actually say instead. All right, section 1, verb and age traps, or as I like to call it, the illusion of fluency. Okay, let's dive right into our first trap, where learners accidentally misuse verbs for states of being. Mistake number 1 sounds incredibly logical, honestly, but it's totally incorrect. So many people say, I am agree with you. Why is this wrong? Well, because the word agree is already a verb in English. You don't need the am to make it an action. Native speakers simply say, I agree with you. The crucial point here is to just use the verb directly. So instead of saying, I am agree with your idea, you just say, I agree with your idea. Instead of, we are agree on this point, it's we agree on this point. It's such a simple change, but honestly, it makes a massive difference in your fluency. Now, let's move on to mistake number 2, which fits perfectly right here in our age traps. A lot of languages use a structure where you actually possess your age, right? So translating it directly feels incredibly natural. Learners will often say, I have 25 years. But in English, you don't possess your age, you are your age. So the correct phrasing is, I am 25 years old. Even though my sister has 18 years might make perfect sense in your native language, it's a small grammar hiccup that native speakers will notice immediately. Always use I am. Moving right along to section 2, action and preposition errors, dealing with structural misfires. Mistake number 3 is just extremely common. I hear this all the time. Learners will say, it depends of the weather. But the correct native phrasing is, it depends on the weather. Prepositions can be super tricky because they almost never translate perfectly between languages, but in English, the verb depend almost always partners up with on. And this brilliantly illustrates a really consistent pattern. Whether you're talking about professional skills or life principles, the rules stays exactly the same. You say it depends on your experience and success depends on hard work. So remember to permanently delete depends of from your vocabulary and always use depends on. Deal? Now, mistake number 4 sounds incredibly strange to native ears. A lot of learners will point to a remote and say, open the TV. In English, unless you're literally cracking open the plastic casing with a screwdriver, you do not open electronic devices to make them work. The correct phrase is turn on the TV. We specifically use the phrasal verb turn on whenever we're dealing with electronics. Basically, you should only use open for physical things that swing or move apart, like doors and windows, or for digital stuff like files, apps, and websites. But for electronics that require power, it's turn on the lights, turn on your laptop, and turn on the TV. Mistake number 5 is without a doubt one of the absolute most common grammar errors out there, double marking the past tense. People often say, I didn't went. Because the sentence is in the past, your brain naturally wants to use the past tense of go. Makes sense, right? But native speakers say, I didn't go. Just always remember this unbreakable rule of English grammar. After the auxiliary word didn't, the verb must always return to its base form. Because didn't already tells us it's the past, we don't need to do it twice. So instead of she didn't came, it's she didn't come. Instead of they didn't finished, it's they didn't finish. Didn't plus the base verb. Always, no exceptions. Let's tackle our third category, awkward phrasing habits, focusing on the internet's favorite errors. Okay, you need to pay very close attention to mistake number 6, because I'm telling you, it is absolutely everywhere online. Whether you're scrolling through comment sections, forums, or just browsing social media, you are going to see advanced learners making this exact error every single day.
Here it is. When asking for a name or a translation of a specific item, learners constantly ask, how is it called? Or how is this called in English? While people will definitely understand what you mean, native speakers practically never say this. The correct phrasing is, what is it called? It's such a small, simple correction, but it instantly makes you sound vastly more natural. Remember, what is that called?
And mistake number 7 genuinely surprises a lot of learners. A ton of people say, oh wow, this food is very delicious. But technically, native speakers usually avoid saying very delicious. Why? Well, because the word delicious is what we call an extreme adjective. It already means extremely tasty. So saying very delicious is somewhat redundant to a native ear. It's kind of like saying very extremely tasty.
So, to sound far more natural and fluent, swap out very for different boosters. You can say absolutely delicious, really delicious, or incredibly delicious. Next time you're having an amazing cake or a great slice of pizza, say, this cake is absolutely delicious. It elevates your English instantly.
Moving into our final section, the secret to fluency, looking beyond perfect grammar.
This is such a powerful realization for learners. Perfect grammar just isn't enough. Honestly, you can sit and memorize grammar rules all day long, but that alone isn't going to give you a natural accent or a fluent rhythm. Natural English comes from learning complete phrases, not just stringing together individual words based on some rigid formula. And this builds into a highly actionable strategy for you. Here is how fluency actually develops. Instead of obsessing over the rules, start paying close attention to how native speakers actually speak in the real world. Watch movies, listen to native conversations on podcasts, read those comment sections. You're going to start noticing patterns naturally, rather than frantically forcing mathematical grammar rules in your head mid-sentence. All right, let's jump to our final section, the fluency checklist, quickly reviewing the patterns.
Think of this as your ultimate mental cheat sheet. Let's lock in these correct native phrases. Remember, it's I agree with you, definitely no am in there. It depends on, never of. I am 25 years old, never have. Turn on the TV, please don't open it. Ask what is it called, not how. Make sure you say I didn't go, keeping that base verb. And finally, compliment the chef by saying the meal was absolutely delicious, totally skipping the very. Now it's time for a little self-reflection. I want you to be totally honest with me. How many of these 7 mistakes have you made before? Are you maybe relying a little too much on textbook rules? Or are you actually listening to the living language around you? Let me know your score out of 7 in the comments below. And if you learned something new and valuable from this explainer today, hit like and subscribe so we can keep building your natural fluency.